Hi, this is my first time with you guys, and I am Miss Susan, and I am an art teacher and love to teach other people about art. Today we're going to do something called frog paint, and we're going to learn about line as we do this. And so there are all different kinds of lines. But first, let's go over what you're going to need. You're going to need water and a paintbrush. You're going to need some kind of watercolors. This came in my art kit that I have sitting around. And so but these are my favorite. I got these online and they swivel out so I can take them anywhere. An oil pastel or crayon that is black. A pencil to draw with. If you need a sharpener, that'd be great too. And a black marker, if you don't have the crayon or oil pastel, that won't bleed. So it needs to be like a Sharpie or something like that so that it doesn't get all over the place. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about line. And I believe that art has a language all of its own. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the language of art. And there are different kinds of lines. And of course, lines make noise. Art is not quiet, nor is it clean. Oh, we also need something to put your artwork on so that it does not get all over the house. So Mom will let you do art again. And so we're going to make our lines. First of all, straight. Can straight go just up and down? No, it can go back and forth. This is called a horizon line. Horizontal line. Vertical line. How about a diagonal? Yes. And a line can also be a zigzag. Up and down and up and down. And a swirly line. Woo! A circle. Woo! It goes all the way and closes. Or a dot. Or is a circle that's colored in. There's also something called an ellipse, whoop, whoop, which kind of looks like an eyeball if you do your hands like this. Circles, dots, zigzags, curvy lines, angled lines, which are, yeah. So if we can all know when I say we're going to draw an angled line, then we can draw together, right? So what we're going to do is you're going to have a piece of paper, and there are different kinds of paper. Also, you need something to pick up and like a paper towel. There is thick paper that I call cardstock, or there's thin paper like you copy in a copy machine. Today, if you have it, I mean, we can always use whatever you got. A cardstock is our best choice. And we're going to start out by just drawing our lines on an extra piece of paper. It could even be your paper towel. Straight line, zigzag, curly line, swirly line, circles, and dots. Those are primarily the lines that we're going to do. Okay, so we'll refer back to those. Straight line, angle line, swirly line, curvy line, swirly line, circles, and dots. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a frog. Have any of you guys heard the story of the wide-mouthed frog? The wide-mouthed frog went around all over the place, and he asked all the animals, he wanted to know what they ate, and he went up to a giraffe and he said, "Hi, I'm a wide-mouthed frog." And the giraffe said, and he said, "I want to know what you eat." And the giraffe said, "I eat leaves." And the frog said, "That's nice." And then he hopped on, boing, 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 boing. And he met up with another animal, and it was a bird. He said, "Hi, I'm a wide-mouthed frog." And the frog said, and the bird said, "Beep, beep, beep, beep." And he said, "I want to know what you eat." And the bird said, "I eat worms." And the frog said, "That's nice." And he kept on his way. And he went from animal to animal to animal. You can add any of these animals in when you tell the story at dinner tonight. And finally he got to an alligator. And he said, "Alligator, I'm a wide-mouthed frog. What do you eat?" And the alligator said, I eat wide-mouthed frogs. And the wide-mouthed frog said, you do? So he made a teeny tiny mouth. But on these frogs, we're going to go ahead and make them big mouth. But the first thing we're going to do, and this is something I learned at the Disney Institute when I was in Orlando, you use your shoulder to make circles. So we're going to use our shoulder, and that doesn't mean you're going to attach your pencil there. It means that you're going to use your whole and move your whole arm from your shoulder, and we're going to make an oval that's about as big as your fist. Can you make one? And an oval is going to connect at both ends, right? Mine almost doesn't connect. Then I'm going to draw a number 7, and I'm going to match it on the other side. And over here, on the other side, I'm going to do a backwards 7. Whoops. And at the ends, from end to this end, I'm going to make a zigzag. And another zigzag. And I've got back feet jumping. Yes? Now on the front, I'm going to do an upside down 7, and I'm going to match it. And I'm going to do the same, exact same. And they don't have to be exactly the same. Just don't attach the ends. And I've got frog feet and a frog body. Now he's kind of plain at this point, and so I want to add eyeballs. I'm going to add his eyes up here at the top. And those are circles, right? About the size of a dime on mine. And then inside, I'm going to draw dots, but they're going to be big and colored in. So they're really circles to begin with. And I'm going to leave 2 little blank places that are going to turn into dots later on. But since I can't draw white, my white color doesn't work, I am going to do it like that. Does that work for you? And that just makes like a little shiny space so his eyes look shiny and fun. And right up here, I'm going to draw a curved line. It could be a zigzag line. It could be whatever kind of shaped mouth you want. And 2 little slits for his nose. And that is my frog. Now, I also know a story called The Princess and the Frog, where there's a frog that has been, a prince that has been turned into a frog, and so he wears a crown. So since I'm looking from the top, I'm going to draw my crown with 2 angle lines and then zigzag. And then a straight line. So I'm looking down, so his crown is going to be on upside down, right? And that's kind of a plain looking frog. What kind of design could I put on him? I could do, he could be a striped frog. He could be a polka dot frog. I think I'm going to make mine a polka dot frog. So I'm going to add polka dots or circles. Different colors all over his back. Okay. And as an art teacher, just because we've made it together, I want you to make a smaller version, but not with the crown, since there's only one prince frog, somewhere on your paper. So I'm going to draw it up here, and I'm going to make with my whole arm, and then I'm going to do that 7 thing to make his arms and his legs. Circles for his eyes and dots, and leave a little space for the shiny part, which makes you look like a professional artist. Now, I don't want him to look anything like the prince, so I am going to use a different kind of line, and we said that there are different kinds of lines, so what kind of lines could I use? I've used circles, and I've used dots. I could make stripes, or I could put zigzags on him. So I think I am going to make this one stripes. Almost looks like a bumblebee though, doesn't he? Oh, and I forgot his mouth. So I'm going to make him have just a circle mouth too, I think. And if I had room, I'd give him little nose holes, but it don't. All right, so as an art teacher, the other thing is it's boring. We've got 2 frogs that look like roadkill on our paper, and I am super allergic to white paper. Achoo! Achoo! So I always have to put in other things. So the part that makes this interesting is 2 things. First of all, there's lots of color, right? But also you can see zigzag lines, straight lines, swirly lines, curvy lines, vertical, horizontal lines, vertical and horizontal lines, circles, dots, and a heart is a curved line that forms an angle at the bottom, isn't it? So hearts fit in our thing. So somewhere on your paper, I want you to make an area that uses some kind of straight line. Okay, there's my area. Now I want you to use another area that uses zigzag lines. And make it like a repeating zigzag line, because that'll make it more fun to paint, I promise. Or color, whichever you're doing. Now let's do some swirly lines. Woo, woo, woo. If it falls off the paper, it falls off the paper. Okay, then I am going to do, okay, I'm done. Oh, I haven't done curvy lines like this. And yours does not have to look like mine. Oh, dots. Shall we do dots somewhere? Or hearts somewhere? Or just straight lines, maybe? Maybe just straight lines? And if we just have to skip where the little frog is if we're going to do straight lines up and down. And I still see this area is awfully plain. What can we put in there? I think I am going to put hearts. Maybe more swirlies here. And more hearts. Do hearts always have to be in a line? No. Can they be upside down? Yes. All right, now you're ready to paint. And if you've never used watercolor paint, what you do is we have a brush. And just like on the top of your head, you have hair, so does our paintbrush. He has what we call bristles or hair. And you don't ever want to scrub. You use it very gently. You wouldn't want your head to be scrubbed hard. So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to use my paints over here because the color is a little brighter than my other set. And I'm going to start with a color. And I think I want to start with my frog. So I'm going to find a green, a nice green. And I've got a little bit of water on my paintbrush. I put it, don't want it soppy. So I'm going to put my brush in the paint and I'm going to go swirl it around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's going to give me a nice dark color. And I'm going to paint inside the lines. And I have to hold it just like a pencil. Okay. Now, if I had too much water on my brush, I would have rivers of water. I don't want rivers of water. And I want the paint to just flow. And I will know it's time to go back to my paint pot when I no longer have paint. I'm going from one leg to the other. I like to do all my legs first. And see, the paint is getting very light, so I know that it's time to dip in water on the side of my brush, back into my pot. And after I've done that initial 20 times, usually the paint has kind of gotten wet and will flow a little bit better, so you don't have to do it 20 times the next time. But as soon as it gets light, you either have to put your paint back in water, or you have to, and then wipe it on the side of your cup so that it's not too much water, because you don't want it to be too yucky. Too much water makes rivers of water, and rivers of water are a mess. Now, if you do get too much water, paintbrushes are also magical things. And what you do is you dry it off on your paper towel, your paintbrush, and then you go back to where you've got a river of water, and you pick it up. And then you wipe it back on the paper towel, and then you come back to the river of paint and water, and you pick it up. It's like a magic soak ripper. It's like a sponge. And you can see I'm beginning to, there's a river of paint right there. Too much water with my paintbrush. I didn't go around in my circles enough. And it makes it a different color green, and I want it all to look like it's the same color. And I want to keep it where it's not drippy, drippy, drippy. Now, I finished my frog. I have to wait for the frog to dry, but does that mean I can't paint anything? And that's a big old fat no. What you're going to do is you're going to take your paintbrush. I'm done with green. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to clean out my paintbrush until the water is clean. If the water is dirty, this is not too bad. Oh, too bad yet. Paper towels can clean this up more than the paintbrush. But if it gets too dirty, then we can't get a nice, pretty, clean color. It's going to be a muddy, yucky color. So I would go and get pour it down the sink, make sure that I don't leave a mess in the sink, and I would, once again, get fresh water and come back, start again. You don't have to usually change it every color, but probably every couple of colors. Now, I did the same thing with the red. Went around in circles, not too much red water on my brush. And I've decided I'm going to come over and I'm going to paint my hearts. Sometimes it's easier. I should have probably done the background colors, the bigger parts of the color, but it just can't touch the green. And so I have to do that. If I touched a wet paint next to another wet color, it would do something that we in the art room call bleeding. The colors mix, and normally they mix ugly. They don't mix pretty. They mix like a dark brown or something that looks like mud instead of like the nice clear red and the nice clear green. All right, so I got all off of one circle of paint. So I'm finished with that. I don't want to do the green is still wet. How do I know it's wet? Because when I put my hand on it, it's cool to the touch and it just feels a little wet. So I can't do that. So I'm going to go to, is there anywhere else I want to paint red? Maybe I'll go ahead and paint down here red. So as long as I'm just still looking around on my canvas or your paper to see where I could paint that's not next to another wet piece. And it doesn't take too long for it to dry, you know, a couple of minutes. So usually when you finish one area, if you're doing a nice job of covering the paper so that there's no white there, then it should take care of that. Okay. And I'm just going to keep going until there is nothing white showing except those little dots in their eyes. Because those are our little sparkly dots. And even those. And if my paint is too dry, it's going to be draggy. You'll kind of get the feel after you use it for a while. What color you want. The less water, the brighter the color. Or how dry you want your paintbrush. And that's just part of practicing. It's just like everything else. You have to practice your sports, and you have to practice your art, and you have to practice your reading. Okay? So I'm going to keep on painting until everything is colored in. Then I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to come back with either a black marker or an oil pastel or a black crayon and really go over the pencil mark. And that means trace the pencil mark. Go right on top of it. And then when all my design work. So even my little, and if you did a really dark pencil, you may not have to do this part. But then I'm going to go around my frog and even the details. I'm going to trace over the top of the pencil mark on both of my frogs. And the reason for that is it makes it pop out more. Let's see if I can find. If everything is the same, then if we outline him, it makes him stand out more. He becomes the focus or the center of attention instead of the design background. But notice how much more fun it is when everything is colored in, then there's a lot of white space. So that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed the art lesson. I would love for you to post online. My email is Susan Bishara, just Susan Bishara, SUSAN Bishara, BISHARA, at the letter Y, mail.com, ymail.com. Hope to see you again. Art is awesome.